What's up guys, Nate here, welcome to Brick Tech. This review is a long time coming. As you see right here, you probably don't recognize this set. That's because it's not a set. No instructions of any kind were used to build this, as a matter of fact. This is my custom Lego Jaeger it's not from the movie Pacific Rim. It's supposed to be like the ones from Pacific Rim. But if you've followed me on Instagram, which if you're not, why aren't you? You've probably seen this before, but it probably looks different to you because I've done some changes since my last update post. But this review has been a long time coming. I've been working on this mock for 2 years. It's gone through a lot of changes, a lot of updates, and now the time has come to review it. As I said, 2 years, a lot of Bricklink orders to complete this. And I'm very, very happy with how it finally turned out, and I think you will be too. So, without any further ado, I'll let you see it from all the way around. I can't remember if I mentioned it in the intro or not, but I called this thing Gipsy Onyx, #1, because it looks like one of the Gypsy Jaegers. #2, it's all black, so I called it Onyx. So, put those two names together, you have what I named this Jaeger. It's very posable. I used mostly the joints featured in the Ninjago Zane Ice Mech set, the ratchet ball joints, mainly because they had to have some more stiffness than regular ball joints because of how much like the arms and the legs weigh. So I had to be able to like ratchet them in place to be able to hold up its weight. Of course, this is just like the idle pose that I keep it in most of the time for stability purposes and to make sure that it doesn't fall off the shelf. However, it can be posed just like some of the Jaegers in the movie, in this case, Gypsy Danger and Gypsy Avenger, which, when they were calibrating the two hemispheres of the Jaeger, they had the hands come together and like one hand clench the other fist. That's what this pose is. Right now, it's time for credit where credit is due. The head design is not mine personally. The head design, thank you so much to the man who designed it, Chubbybots. He's a great YouTuber. He does a lot of mech builds, and he has one video of how to build 5 different mech heads, and this is the 5th one he built in that video, and I loved it so much. I contacted him on Instagram, asked his permission to use it on this mock, and he said yes, he's a very nice guy. But Chubbybots, thank you. One of the hardest parts about having a Lego build of any kind, whether it be a set or a mock, with black pieces, like a lot of black pieces, is dust. But quick tip, just take a regular toothbrush, no, not one that's used, and just take it and dust it off lightly. It'll get most of the dust off and leave it clean. See, and it's very relaxing too to do. See? It's coming off. It's taking some time, but it is coming off. See? That's just a quick little tip. One of the hardest parts I had with building this was the shoulder armor, because I wanted it to be very free in range of motion. The hardest parts were the shoulder pads, because they had to like rotate around the arms. I tried them mounted directly on the torso. That didn't work because they could only come up to about right there when they were mounted on the shoulder, but as you can see here, they are mounted to the arm now, and they can go all the way around. And when you just open it like this, put it where you want it, and close it back to where it stops, wherever it stops. And it looks good from like all angles. Plus the shoulder armor helps cover up the gray brick piece of the ball joint for the shoulder, which is another plus. I'll let you get a closer look at the arm here. The shoulder pad is mounted up here, then you've got biceps, triceps, the main elbow section, which unfortunately I wasn't able to cover with the pieces that I have because that would restrict motion too much. But here's the forearm, the hand, and the hand is on a Mixel's ball joint. and the fingers are also all posable, which means it can wave, or do like Guardian Bravo in Pacific Rim 2 and just flip off a kaiju. For the power system, or supposed power system, I decided to use the twin nuclear reactors similar to the ones that Gypsy Avenger had. If you're wondering why there's a hinged plate right here, it's because it hides something. It hides another hinged ball joint. The reason I used a hinged ball joint in this area to hold the waist on, no matter how I built it, a Technic system, just a simple Technic pin, no matter how I built it, the hips would keep coming off the torso, like slipping. But I found out that even though this isn't too stiff as far as rotation goes, it's very sturdy as far as it can hold its own with that particular pin from that ball joint, and it works. I'm happy with it. It works. Here's a better look at one of the legs. Since I'm only showing one of them since they're mirrored on both sides. Again, I used regular ball joints on the bottom, and I used the hinged ball joints for the hips and the knees. Of course, I was able to cover the ball joints for the knees with these wing pieces. I used two for both legs, and by the time I was done with that, I didn't have any left for the arms, so the elbows stayed uncovered. But there is a little bit of miscoloration, like it's not all black, but I think it looks good. It keeps with the machinery look. For the feet, I had a design originally, but with that design, the feet were just too small, and it kind of had trouble balancing because the feet weren't big enough. So I went with this design instead. I think it actually looks a lot better than the original design. Those were designed pretty well. They looked good, but they were just too small, as I said before. But I like this one a lot more. I didn't think I would, but I actually do. Here's a closer up look at the back armor. I just went with two spikes, like two big cylinders, or whatever you want to call them. They're similar to the ones that Saber Athena had, except the ones on Gipsy Onyx here are a lot bulkier. But it's not just back armor. Tell them what you got, Gypsy. The back armor can transform into shoulder-mounted railguns, as you can see here. I went through a lot of designs trying to figure out how to do that, and I finally figured out one that works. Again, it uses the hinged ball joints. They're very useful in mechs, especially when you're doing something like this with the hidden weapons and everything. And I really like the way they turned out. That's not the only weapon that Gypsy has. For instance, you can take the hand off. Let me just do this real quick. Take that off the plate, and take the whole part with the ball joint socket and everything, and replace it with this socket. And I say replace it with replace the whole socket so you don't wear out the ball joints. And boom, there's its primary weapon. It's not like in the movies where the hand turns into a plasma cannon, and on this you have to replace the hand entirely. But I think the plasma cannon looks really good. It uses one of the Iron Man Power Blast pieces in the center, and then just studs, blue studs, and some curved parts, like curved bricks, on the exterior. If you're wondering how I got it to look symmetrical 3 ways instead of asymmetrical, which is the way that it's done a lot of times because of certain pieces and availability, molds and stuff, I actually used hinge pieces, like hinge plates. I just stacked them on top of each other until they all connected into a triangle, and then it just took shape and I just had to build it up. And just wait, those aren't the only weapons that Gypsy has. It also has 2 melee weapons. Chain swords. You just take them, attach them to the upper arm, or the upper part of the forearm, that is. And there you go. These suckers are why I had to use ratchet joints for the elbows too. The joints I had before, when I put the swords on the arms, they would just droop down and the elbow would bend the wrong way. and it was gross, it was wrong, and it didn't work. So I just replaced them with these, and now they work perfectly. Now allow me to show you some of the poses that you can get with Gypsy. Some of my favorite too, with the weapons. Comment down below, guys, what you think of this mock, and I'll respond. I do my best to respond to all the comments I get. It's kind of hard sometimes, but I do my best. But anyway, again, comment down below what you think of this mock. I spent a lot of work on it. It's probably my flagship mock for this channel. That's probably what it's going to end up being. But that's pretty much going to wrap this video up. In the comments, tell me like 1 to 10 on how I did. And like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell all down below the description. And I'll see you next time on Brick Tech. See ya.